What's the dumbest thing someone has said to you? 1. After giving a coworker an aspirin, she came to me after some time and said the medicine was useless because the pain went away on its own. 2. Once I had a friend who bet me $20 that a stop sign had 6 sides. Then 3 months later, we were reminiscing, and he remembered it wrong, bet another $20 that a stop sign had 6 sides, and lost again. 3. In an office that was low on paper, just put a blank page in the copier and make more. 4. I am a veterinarian. My cousin is a child psychologist. Her literal words were, "You just don't know what it's like when your patient can't tell you what is wrong." 5. I was at a register, and the cashier was flirting with me. He asked me where I'm from, and I said England. Then he said, "Oh, what language do they speak there?" I replied, "English." The guy behind me in the queue started busting out laughing. 6. How do they put the lines inside the oranges in the factory? You know, the ones that make them easy to separate into slices. 7. I worked in a bank, and someone was trying to cash a check for their grandfather who was in the hospital. I told him we couldn't cash it without the grandfather there as the check was only made out to him. He picks up a dog and says, "I have his permission to cash the check." See, this is his dog. I was at a loss for words. I tried to keep a straight face while telling him that a dog was not a form of ID. 8. I was working retail and counting down my drawer, making sure the cash total was correct with the receipts. I came across an unbelievably shiny penny. Someone had either just gotten it from the bank or, perhaps more likely, broken it out of a set because they realized a penny is never going to be worth more than a penny in their lifetime. Anyway, I held it up to my assistant manager and remarked, "Wow, what a shiny penny." She replied, "Oh my God. Do you think it's counterfeit? Why would anyone ever go to the trouble and expense of counterfeiting a penny? At most, for all of your labors, efforts, and investments, you've got a penny." 9. I was in a long-term relationship, and we were thousands of miles apart. I thought it would be romantic to say, "If we both look up right now, we can both see the moon together." She asked if I was looking at the same moon she was. 10. I had a professor in college who watched Pirates of the Caribbean one time and was convinced that the word parlay meant guidelines. So instead of telling us the guidelines for her class, she gave us a list of parlays that we were to follow in her class. 11. You're not a real mom if you're only going to have 2 kids, I was told by my mother-in-law a day after popping out my second child in less than a year and a half. This came from a woman who didn't raise any of her 6 kids and left them to a man who wasn't even biologically the father to half of them. 12. My ex's mom came for supper for the first time at my house. I'm a widow, and she was asking questions about my late husband. She asked about the funeral. She's a harmless, sweet lady, didn't really pick up on social cues, but I did love her. I mentioned he had been cremated and that his ashes and our cat's ashes were in a cabinet. She walked over to the cabinet, looked at both urns, one decorated with cat paws and considerably smaller, and said, "Which one is your husband?"